All right, let's go ahead and get started. Well, hello, Trailblazers. I hope you're having an amazing time. Welcome to the last session of the day, the architecture of Einstein Copilot. As you are very well aware by this time, we will be making forward-looking statements in our presentation today, so we encourage you to take that into consideration while making any purchasing decisions. And I want to start by saying thank you. Thank you for being here with us today. We deeply appreciate your time and interest. And considering that this is the last session of the day, I do want to say a special thanks for sticking around. All right, so I'm sure you must have heard by now that Einstein Copilot, the AI assistant for CRM, is available now. Anybody who's not heard about that? OK, you all have heard about that. Great. Einstein Copilot is the only generative AI-powered conversational assistant that empowers everyone to accomplish more, be it your employees in sales, service, marketing, and commerce, or your customers. Now, there were a number of breakout sessions and workshops today, so I assume that you have some familiarity with what it is and how it works. In this session here today, we'll dig deeper into the architecture of Einstein Copilot so that you can come out with better understanding and appreciation of the solid foundation and the technical prowess that has gone in designing Einstein Copilot. We will also highlight features and capabilities that will let you get the most out of Einstein Copilot for your organization. Because at the end of the day, each company, each business is different. All right, a quick introduction about your speakers. I'm Shipra Gupta, Director of Product Management for Einstein Copilot. And I have with me not one, but two brilliant architects who are the brains behind Einstein Copilot, Atul Shirsagar and Prithvi Padmanabhan. So our agenda today is as follows. First, we will talk about the characteristics that make Einstein Copilot an enterprise-grade solution. Then Atul will dig deeper into the architecture of Einstein Copilot, and Prithvi will take you through the nitty-gritty details of how to customize Einstein Copilot for your organization. I will then take you through a live demo of Einstein Copilot. We'll see it in action. And then finally, we will wrap up with some call to actions and Q&A. All right. So when you are looking at an enterprise-grade solution, it is of paramount importance to pay attention to not just what it does, but how it does what it does. And that's why the points that I'm about to make are noteworthy. There are 5 characteristics that I want to highlight for you about Einstein Copilot. Number 1, single interface. Einstein Copilot provides a single conversational interface for your teams to get work done conversationally. It comes with a natively integrated Lightning widget for desktop and mobile that can seamlessly communicate with CRM pages for full contextual awareness. And of course, having a single interface means that your users can flip back and forth between multiple devices and form factors flawlessly. Not just that, Einstein Copilot is also present on all the customer channels with the richness of user experience that you might be familiar with from Einstein bots. Number 2, unified platform. We have purposefully designed Einstein Copilot to have a single unified platform powering copilots for all personas and use cases. Not just that, the power of the platform lies in the robustness that it provides in terms of supporting low-code, no-code, and pro-code options for configuring actions for every business need. We will double-click more on this further in our presentation today because this right here unlocks tremendous amount of business automation through ecosystem. One more point I want to highlight about single unified platform. Single unified platform means a single onboarding mechanism common best practices, and an entire gamut of feature set that is available to all of your users, be it employees or customers. Number 3, flexible AI. There is a new large language model that gets announced every day. There's a new large language model that gets open sourced every day. There is a new partnership that gets forged every single day. Anybody here familiar with any LLM that got announced yesterday? Anybody keeping tab on the news? All right, in any case, you guys know what I mean, right? The landscape of AI is extremely dynamic and active right now. And so being a platform company, we understand that you don't want to be logged into any particular solution so that you can tap into choices and partners that work best for you as a business. And that's why we support an open model strategy. What that means is, if you want to bring an LLM of your choice, you absolutely can. If you want to bring a partner of your choice, you absolutely can. Or if you want to leverage our partners, you can do that as well, all the while leveraging our trust layer. At the end of the day, you have the choice to choose the AI that works for you. Now, that brings us to data. Data is the fuel that powers the large language models. The user experience that you're looking to craft is a reflection of the data that your large language models are either trained on and/or grounded upon. And hence, it is so critical to have that complete 360 view of your customers in Data Cloud to craft those relevant and personalized experiences. Not just that, it is your most trusted source of data, so you don't have to worry about biases and hallucinations. And that brings me to trust. Can you trust Copilot? Yes, you absolutely can. That's because we have designed Einstein Copilot with security, privacy, and transparency at the top of our minds. We have disclosures to keep your users informed. We have security guardrails baked into all of our prompts based on extensive security and ethics testing. We have PII, PCI masking, toxicity checks, audit logs, and yes, zero data retention contracts with our vendors, all to give you peace of mind before you deploy Einstein Copilot for your internal and external users. All right, so now that you have some understanding of the underpinnings of the Einstein Copilot platform, let me invite Atul to dig deeper into the architecture that makes it all feasible.
Thank you all. I know this is the last session of the day. It has been said a lot of times. But you know also what? They keep the most interesting sessions for the last. In a developer conference, technical deep dive into a Copilot architecture, a live demo, nothing can beat that, right? All right. So without wasting any further time, let me just get started. I know you have seen this slide many times in this conference before. This is our Einstein 1 platform architecture. Einstein 1 is our AI architecture for enterprises. And yes, Einstein Copilot is an integral part of Einstein 1 platform. The unified metadata framework that underpins Einstein 1 platform extends and supports the Einstein Copilot metadata as well. So let's unpack this a bit and look at the detailed architecture of Einstein 1 platform with a focus on Einstein Copilots. This is our layered cake diagram. A lot is going on here. Let's unpack this by going layer by layer. Okay? Let me first start with the bottommost layer, which is our infrastructure, which is our Hyperforce layer. This is our trusted infrastructure architecture. And this provides high availability, high trust through 3-AZ deployments, zero trust architecture. It is the foundation which gives us a way to provide trusted and secure software that Salesforce customers expect from Salesforce. Next layer is our data cloud layer, provides a solid data foundation for Einstein 1 platform, Einstein Copilots. It provides us a way for the generative actions and generative features and copilots to access CRM data as well as data from external sources. A bunch of external sources are listed here. You saw in keynote today, We have tons of connectors. You can bring in data from S3, from Google BigQuery. You can bring it from Snowflake, zero copy. So there is all sorts of things that you can do with Data Cloud, and that power of Data Cloud is already at your hands, in your fingertips. This is what also provides 360 view of the data that Shipra talked about. Next is our AI platform. This is our existing AI platform that has been built and matured over a period of years. It is heavily used in our predictive use cases. It provides a lot of ML platform functionalities like notebooking and labeling and model stores and feature store and model hosting and training. What we have done is we have enhanced this platform to host internal large language models as well as host the large language models from our partners. Okay, so far what you have seen, all Hyperforce, Data Cloud, AI platform are all existing Salesforce products and platforms which lay the foundation on which we have built Einstein 1 platform and Einstein Copilot platform as well. Now let's focus on the layers which are specific to generative AI stack. And first up is our foundational services layer. Foundational services layer provides common set of services and features which enables teams within Salesforce to easily build any generative AI features. It has generative AI gateway, it has feedback framework, Einstein trust layer. The generative AI gateway provides a normalized API that works across different LLM providers, thereby making it easy for the generative AI features to be vendor agnostic. This is the first level of pluggability that Shipra referred to. You can bring in any of your models. The rest of the stack is unimpacted. Generative AI gateway is also the single point of control where we can enforce our trust policies. Feedback framework provides a way for us to capture your feedback on generations, either through human actions, through business outcomes. So you can rate the generations to be thumbs up or down. You can provide the reasons for thumbs down rating. All of this data is then stored by the feedback framework into Data Cloud. And what happens when data goes in Data Cloud? Unlocks all the analytical capabilities. Now you can perform the analytics like, hey, what percentage of my generations were used? What were not used? How many were rated thumbs up? How many were rated thumbs down? What are top 3, 5 reasons that people were rating my generations to be thumbs down? And which generative features had the most impact on business outcomes? With the power of Data Cloud and Tableau, now you have unlocked the analytical capabilities using this feedback data. Einstein Trust Layer, I'm sure you have heard about our trust layer a lot. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the trust layer again. Just want to highlight that the trust layer that powers our generative features also powers Copilot. So all the interactions that Copilot does with LLMs will go through our trust layer, and it will enforce policies like sensitive data masking, input toxicity detection, output toxicity scoring, storing all this data in Data Cloud for audit trail. And Shipra will show some of this in action in her demo as well. OK, so this foundational services layer that you have seen is common to all the generative features, the sales GPT and the service GPT. And it also lays the foundation, which helps Einstein Copilot as well. Now let's talk about the layers that are specific to Einstein Copilot. Let me first start with actions. What are actions? Actions are your functions, your APIs that perform a single task, very similar to OpenAI plugins, if you will. Now, Salesforce will be providing a lot of out-of-the-box CRM-specific actions, the standard actions. Clouds will be providing domain-specific actions. But you, as ISVs and Salesforce developers, you will be able to use your Apex invocable actions, your flows, your prompt templates, and package them as Copilot actions and make it available for use in Einstein Copilots. The main thing to note that, and Prithvi will show it to you, that when you are building your Copilot actions, you have to describe its functionality in plain English, including the input and output parameters. This is what LLMs will use to choose the right action for a given user utterance. And as with most of the things in Salesforce, actions are going to be metadata-driven, packageable, and distributable through App Exchange to create a thriving ecosystem. OK, let's talk about the brain behind Einstein Copilot, which is our orchestration or planning layer. Now, as the name says, this layer is responsible for planning and reasoning using LLMs for a given user utterance and a list of actions that it has access to. This is where LLMs and actions meet. So planner service uses reasoning strategies in order to take your user ask in a natural language and convert it into a plan. What is plan? Plan is nothing but a series of actions that needs to be executed in sequence. Planner service will first validate this plan for correctness. Then it will start executing this plan by chaining the output of one action into the input of the next one. While it is doing so, it will employ a lot of guardrails. It will first collect any information from the user if there is some information missing to execute the action. If an action is sensitive, it will go back to the user for confirmation. If an action produces multiple outputs and the next action is taking only single input, it will go back to the user for disambiguation. And the most important thing is planner service will execute all of this in user context. So the data that is accessed, the actions that are executed, are all going to be scoped to that user's perm set. Orchestration layer is on purpose. We have made it to be pluggable because we want to plug in different reasoning strategies. As Shipra said, there are newer models coming out every day. There are newer reasoning strategies coming out every day as well. We want to keep up with the latest state of the art, and that is the second level of pluggability that you have. So far, what we have seen are all the backend layers, the data, the infrastructure, and the backend brain that we talked about. Let's talk a little bit about the user experience layers. Let me first start with Einstein Studio. This is your low-code, no-code way of building your Einstein Copilot actions, associating them with your Einstein Copilots, configuring and customizing your Copilots itself. So this is your one-stop shop where you can go and customize and configure your Copilots, be it employee Copilots, be it your customer Copilots. So this is the single interface that Shipra talked about earlier when she was explaining the characteristics of an enterprise-grade AI solution. Finally, the Einstein Copilots layer, this uses our orchestration or planner service APIs to provide conversational interface for both employee Copilot as well as customer Copilots. It provides this conversational interface on this variety of channels. It could be mobile, web, Slack, and many more. And it provides a rich user interface. It's not text-based. So, and how do we make that thing possible? It's through our experience type system and messaging components. And finally, the cherries on the top of this cake, our customer 360 applications and clouds that use Einstein Copilot platform in order to provide a conversational interface for their specific use cases. So anywhere you see an assistant-like interface, anywhere you see a Copilot in any of the Salesforce products, be rest assured it is built on our unified platform that powers both employee Copilot as well as customer Copilots. Now you have a good sense of what the architecture is. Let's put it all together and see how Einstein actually works under the hood. It all starts with an interaction between end user and Einstein. So end user goes to our conversational interface. It could be on web, it could be on mobile, and expresses their need in natural language, right? Like here, what we are seeing here on the slide. Einstein then gets to work. Einstein takes this natural language utterance, goes to planner service, which is going to use different reasoning strategies and helps, and using LLMs, comes back with a plan. Now, this plan could be consisting of standard actions that you have enabled for your Copilot or custom actions that you have created and associated with your Copilots. Planner service will do the validation and will start executing these actions by invoking APIs for flows and prompts and Apex, and doing everything in user context, as I said earlier. It collects all this data that this action produces. And it takes that data, takes the user utterance, goes to LLM, and says, hey, create and provide me a contextual response that I need to surface back to the user. LLMs do what do they do best. They look at all of this, create a very contextual and conversational response. We take it back, show it to you in the conversational interface where the interaction started. And remember, all of this is happening and through our trust boundaries that are enforced through our trust layer. OK, so to sum it all up, what you're seeing is how we are using the power of LLMs to convert a natural language utterance into a meaningful and relevant actions, doing so in a safe and secure fashion, while providing a rich user interface on multiple different channels. But it ain't Salesforce if you can't customize it. And To show you how you can customize your copilots, I'll call my partner in crime and a brilliant architect, Prithvi.
First of all, thank you all. I know we have said it twice. We want to say it third time. First of all, thank you all for being here. This is our last session. Last two parts are going to be very interesting because this will make all of it click for you. So first thing that everyone thinks about is how do I customize Copilot? Of course, we are all developers. We are all admins. We actually follow a standard software lifecycle process. What we do, we actually try to customize in Salesforce, then test it out, right? I'm hoping that you test things. Then after you test things out, you want to actually run some kind of testing on production. You will actually see, you will monitor, and you will then actually go and change things in order to tune certain things. We are actually keeping the same process for you, even for Einstein Copilot. So nothing changes for you in that whole perspective. How do we do that, right? First thing is, how do you build your action? So first of all, we have Einstein One Studio, which is the Einstein Studio that Atul mentioned. This is very important. This is the place where you have Copilot Builder, the Prompt Builder, and Model Builder. Of course, we have covered this a lot in the previous sessions or even in the keynote today. But what is so important about all of this is that this allows you to customize and extend your Copilot for your org needs. And this is happening via Prompt Builder, as well as Copilot Builder, as well as Model Builder. So what does Copilot Builder do? So Copilot Builder allows you to customize your Copilot with your actions. So what are your actions? Actions can be anything that you are using in your LLM with. So what actions really mean? So it could be your workflow that you are actually doing in your organization, and you want to actually bring it into Copilot, right? How can you do that? We have made it very super simple for you. So these are the actions that we actually provide out of the box. So some of the actions that are out of the box are what we call as the standard actions. So standard actions, we will actually go to the next slide soon, wherein I will show different kinds of standard actions that we are building, which we call as the platform actions available directly within Copilot. But that's one piece of it, right? But our clouds are also building different actions, which are domain-specific actions. So you don't have to build your own actions every time. But we don't know all of your domain, right? We want to actually help you out with your own workflows and all your customizations that you have done for years on Salesforce. How can we use that, right? If you have seen today morning the keynote by John, which was exceptional, if not, I encourage you to go back and check about it. One of the things that he mentioned is how you can actually bring flows and Apex back into Copilot, which you have used for a long time. But one key thing that is actually important in all of this, it's about the descriptions. How does an LLM understand what does action does? It's all in the descriptions. So in our Einstein Copilot Studio, if you have not done your Apex with detailed description about your action, it's OK. You can actually go there and actually put your descriptions there. And it needs to be a very simple language that any human converses with. So if I'm talking to Atul, and I want to say what that action does, it should be as straightforward as that. And you go in there and actually define that. These are what we call as the custom actions. In the custom actions, we support a lot of things. One of it is the flow, which you actually have been using for a lot in Salesforce. The other is Apex, which, of course, you use it a lot as well. But we are keeping on extending it. You actually have certain things like prompt templates, which if you have not seen, you should actually go and look at the prompt builder. So you can actually use your prompt templates also as custom actions. Now, but what are the key out-of-the-box actions that we support? We support search actions. We support summarize action. We support draft and revise email. So you don't have to build any of these actions. This is given for you in Copilot. We are actually building new things like knowledge actions. So essentially, it actually does a knowledge search behind the scenes. There are a lot of things coming soon, like update action. So all of this is one important thing. It's metadata driven. Why that is key is because everything in Salesforce is based on metadata. Since you are building on Salesforce, Copilot is also metadata driven. And that is a key principle that we have applied all throughout this Slack. So these are the various actions that we support. A lot of things are going to come, like MuleSoft APIs, as well as external services, which you might have been using. So if you are using an SAP system or an ERP system, or you want to connect to anything outside, you can actually use any of these actions in order to bring it back into Copilot. So within your flow of work, anyone who is conversing can actually get details from external systems as well. Now, we covered a lot about building your action. Now let's talk about how you can customize your UI. So one of the key things that we have actually built on Copilot is what we call as the experience type system. Atul talked about it a little bit as to what this experience type system actually means. So if you look at the left-hand side, you will see some nice widget that actually keeps changing, right? But what actually that does, it actually shows how Copilot behaves for you for different contexts. So you see that there is a disambiguation step. So if someone asks for certain things, it will actually go back to the user and ask for certain things, right? It could be also an update case wherein you want to update certain things. Again, it comes up with a form-like view in your conversational interface. Now you might be asking, yes, it makes sense. What is all of this together? This is all what we call as the experience type system. So irrespective of what type of actions you bring in, we have our Copilot actions that we have. There is a registry that we maintain. And for each of the registry, we have a type system associated. Now, why would you do that, right? You might want to customize your own UI. So in your Copilot, you want to have your own UI, which is not a standard UI that Salesforce provides out of the box. So you can do that. That's one key aspect of it. The second key aspect of it is branding. So essentially, you want to put some branding things on your Copilot, which as soon as your employee or a consumer-facing Copilot actually wants, you can actually brand it. The third one is it can actually render different things. Now let's talk about how you can customize Copilot even more. This is where our recommended actions, our predefined actions come into play. Now, based on the context, these are the buttons that you see on the bottom of the Copilot. You see that summarize account or summarize contact, draft an email. So based on where you are in let's say, Salesforce, it automatically contextualizes it and actually shows you the relevant buttons. So now what is that useful for? Now someone doesn't have to have cognitive load as to what he has to type. It automatically determines that this is the place that I need to show this relevant button. Now, this is very useful. Why? Because you might say, OK, this I can do it via quick action in Salesforce. What's so unique about it? Quick action does a particular task, right? It's done with that. But this is a little more interesting than that. You can actually use quick action in future in order to do this. But what is more interesting is that it is conversational. So you can do follow-ups. So let's say if I do summarize this contact, that's great. It will actually summarize it. But you might say, summarize this contact, but make it shorter or make it longer. Add more relevant details into it. Now with Copilot, you can do that. Quick actions cannot do that. This can do it. So that's something very, very important. Now we have actually completed a lot of things. Now we have customized the UI, right? We have built our action. We have customized the UI. Now we are ready to go. But before actually deploying into production, one thing you have to do, which is testing your Copilot. Again, in the Copilot Builder, we actually allow you to test your Copilot really well. So this is the place where you will go as an admin or as a developer to test your Copilot. So you will actually try out different utterances. And based on the utterances, Copilot actually shows how the actions are executed one after the other. So if there are problems, if you see in your testing, you can actually go and tweak your Copilot actions directly in that interface. So that's the relevance of actually doing the testing directly in the Copilot. Of course, now we have done everything. We have actually tested it. Now is the time to activate. It's great. You activated the Copilot. I and Atul are playing with it, right? We break a lot of things, right? We are very good in breaking things. I'm just joking. So essentially, you will go and actually test the, you are actually doing, you have launched it into production. Now the next step is, like in normal software development lifecycle, you want to monitor how the Copilot is behaving. And that's important simply because it's a loop that we actually call in Copilot world. So we have Copilot Analytics that is coming soon, wherein you can actually look at how the users are doing with Copilot, what common things they are building. This is going to actually enable you to actually build your own prescribed recommended actions or static actions. You can actually use the usage trends to determine what kind of prompt templates you want to build. It will also help you to determine what kind of actions that people are actually doing more so that you can actually make the actions much better. But more importantly, remember Atul talked about the feedback metrics and stuff together. It actually brings that back together. So all of this is available in a single dashboard for you as an admin to go back and look at how your Copilot is behaving. Why this is important? This will help you to iterate and make your Copilot better and better. So over time, you will see that it is the same software development lifecycle that we are also following in Copilot. So we have actually completed all of this. We iterated. Now, what's more important is to actually see a demo. We bored you to that, right? No. We bored you to, we actually have made a lot of things out here, but you want to see how Copilot is coming into action. So we actually saw the architecture. We saw how we can customize the Copilot. Now, I want to bring back our awesome Shipra back into on stage to actually show the demo to bring it all together. And believe me, this is going to be awesome.
Thank you, Prithvi. That was an amazing overview. All right, everyone, hold your breath. This is going to be a live demo. So if there's one thing I want you to take away from this session about Einstein Copilot, it is this slide. Do remember, these are the 3 characteristics that make Einstein Copilot super, super, super special. It is conversational, which means that you can interact with it just as you would with another human. It is extensible. We covered about this extensively in our presentation today. You can use your apexes, flows, prompt templates to create business actions. And it is autonomous. Autonomous means that it can generate a plan to solve a user's need dynamically at runtime. And that's what I want to show you in action now. Sorry. All right, I'm just going to refresh this to ensure that as I moved around, the Wi-Fi did not cause any challenges here. OK, so we are at TDX, so I thought, why not use our Einstein Copilot to help us with some TDX-related questions? So I went ahead and created this custom object called TDX session. Please do not take this literally. This is not a list of the actual TDX sessions. This is just for illustration purposes. But I created this custom object called TDX session just to showcase how easy it is to interact with Einstein Copilot. OK, there we go. OK, let's try one more time. OK, minor hiccup. All right, we attribute that to Wi-Fi. So I have some test utterances that I wanted to showcase here. Say I want to find out how many TDX sessions are there. So this is showcasing. You can see I purposefully have this view where you can see that in this custom object, I have 12 records. This is just to keep us honest and see that the Einstein Copilot will bring us the query. It'll query the object, and it'll bring us the number of records that there are. OK, so that's fine. This is easy peasy. Let us try something interesting. So we have TDX sessions, and we have people attending TDX sessions. So let me find out which TDX session is Edward a contact for. Is any Edward in the audience here? No Edward? Oh, there is an Edward. OK. All right, great. So it turns out that in my context, there are 2 Edwards. And what you see here is actually, it seems very simple, but it is actually very, very profound, very, very deep, in that there are 2 contexts. So Copilot is asking me which Edward am I looking for, because I only specified the first name. This is called disambiguation. Copilot can ask intelligent follow-up questions to help disambiguate, to determine what information am I interested in, okay? So let's see what sessions Mr. Edward James is attending, and he's attending these 2 sessions. All right, so that's great. Let's continue on. Okay, so let me go ahead. By the way, I made note of these utterances because I felt lazy about typing them live. So let's try summarize last one. Now, what is happening here is that pay attention to last one. That is a natural language reference. That's how we would talk to another human being, right, where we can understand the context of the conversation instead of having to repeat everything. And voila, Copilot understands that. So this is what I mean by natural language conversational interaction. OK, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some extensibility aspects that I want to showcase. Just fire off this utterance here. But what I did is I configured a number of custom actions in this particular Copilot, okay? And I configured these custom actions using 3 building blocks: a flow, an apex, and a prompt template, okay? So what you see here, highest attended session, this is a custom action I have built using apex. Here is a simple apex that simply returns the session that is highly attended, that has the highest attendance. Then I have another custom action that I've configured here, generate session description, okay? I have used a prompt template to generate a session description. So here is a simple prompt template that takes the session name and generates the description for it. And then I have a third custom action, which is update session description. For this, I used a flow. So again, just to illustrate how easy it is to leverage flows, apexes, and prompt templates to build the custom actions. So now let us go ahead and see that in action. So I'm going back to my Copilot interface here, and I asked it to generate a session description. So this one is firing off a prompt template behind the scene. But look what happened here. I did not provide the information completely. So now it is asking me which session do I want to generate the description for. Let's go ahead and choose one from here, the one that does not have a session description. And I'm going to just type here, AI workshop. Let's hope it creates a nice description for this session here. Also pay attention to the richness of experience, right? So you can type into the text box that is presented there, or you can continue in the conversational mode. OK, some problem there. So let's try once more. Let me try another one. I think things get a little glitchy with our Wi-Fi here. All right, so now there is a session description that has been generated. Again, this was done using the prompt template, and it was a custom action, OK? Now let me try one more action. How about we update the session description? So I'm just going to quickly copy my, my prompt here. And to make this interesting, how about we take a snippet from this, latest advancements in artificial technology, okay? So let me just choose this as the session description and try and update it. Here, so I have the session description, and I'm going to use AI Keynote because that is the session I want to update the description for. Okay, so now I'm updating the TDX session description to whatever I have incorporated in the codes. And this is firing off a flow behind the scene. All right, so this has updated the session description, and let's verify that. So I'm just going to refresh the screen here. And here is AI Keynote with latest advancements. So I just went ahead and updated that, right? So we can see how our actions are kicking in and how we can accomplish all of these various business actions conversationally. OK, let's try one more, because I want to show you this Apex custom action as well. So this one, which session has the highest attendee? I think I did not count. OK. This is likely, OK, so it worked fine. It said build your first prompt with Einstein prompt, and we can see that this session has 679 attendees. But just for the fun of it, just to make sure that this is indeed working as we expect it to work, how about I update another session count on the fly? And let me save it. And let's see if it is able to pick up the information, the data from CRM in the session itself. So let's try this here. All right, so now you guys know that this is truly a live demo, OK? So this was the extensibility aspect. Now let me switch gears and cover the third aspect, which is the autonomous planning aspect. So for that, I want to bring the Copilot builder so that we can see what is really going on under the hood. Let me just initiate my Copilot here. OK, so what you see here is 3 sections. There is this right-hand panel where you can have the conversation to test your utterances, et cetera. There is the middle section, which is the canvas. And then there is the left-hand panel where you can see the actions that have been added to this Copilot. What autonomous Copilot, or what we call as dynamic planning, means is that when the user types an utterance, let me just go ahead and type one, and then I'll show you. So I have this nice one here. Let's draft an email inviting Mark Benioff to this Trailblazer conference so that he can inspire us with his vision. In response to the user's utterance, the Copilot can look at the available actions, and it can formulate a plan to address that task, address that need. Okay? So it put together 2 actions that are configured here to address this particular utterance or this particular goal that we had for drafting the email. And that gives it a Lego building block-like capability where, using the available actions, it can come up with various plans to solve for a vast variety of users' needs. Just to drive the point home, let's try one of the utterances that we previously attempted, right? So say, show me all sessions of type workshop, okay? Okay, so you can see here now this time, this particular utterance leveraged query records. Previously, it utilized identify records by name and draft email. So this is called dynamic planning, and this gives the Copilot the intelligence to dynamically address a vast variety of use cases. All right, so now we know that Einstein Copilot is useful. But one last thing that I want to show you before we wrap up for the day, before we wrap up this demo, is Copilot trustworthy? So I have an utterance that I want to try here. Let's ask Copilot who's going to win the Partner of the Year award. Do you think Copilot should answer this? It shouldn't, right? This is beyond the scope of Copilot's activities as we have configured it, right? So this is to showcase that our security guardrails are kicking in. They are helping Copilot determine what actions can it take, what actions can it not take. And rightly here, Copilot said that this is not something Copilot can take care of for us. All right, so this wraps up our demo for today. Hopefully, you found that helpful. So let me go back to our presentation. All right, so this actually brings us to the end of our session today. If you want to continue your journey in learning more about Einstein Copilot, there are more sessions and workshops lined up tomorrow. If you want, you can take a picture or you can check online. And with that, thank you once again for sticking around. We'll be here to answer any questions for you.